Hey guys, welcome back to the Real Estate Sales Summit. You know, this is going to be fun. We have got a special guest with us from Myrtle Beach, Pawleys Island, South Carolina. Jason Morris is with us. So welcome, Jason.
Hey man, how are you? Thank you for having me here.
Outstanding. Thank you. Happy New Year, buddy. I appreciate
Hey,
it.
you
And thank
too.
you for your time in doing this.
Hey,
For those
thanks.
of you who don't know Jason, Jason is a realtor. He's also a coach. He is the author of 6 different books, including, wait a minute, I mean, there's a massive list, so I have to write these things down, but I'll give you a couple. How to be a FSBO master, real estate agents, wait a minute, real estate agents that really work is your
That's
Facebook
my
group
Facebook group.
that's massive, and you do some coaching and group coaching and things like that. But
Yes, sir.
let's do this. Give them a background, a little bit of your background, and tell them about
Man,
how you started, where you come from, what you're doing.
my career is extensive. I graduated college, and like a lot of real estate agents, I graduated college on a Monday, moved to Myrtle Beach on a Wednesday. Rob, I'll tell you what I thought about the real estate business at first. I met a lady down in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, that done oceanfront condo sales. And I was trying to figure out what I was going to do when I graduated college. And I talked to her, and she goes, "You should come down here and sell oceanfront condos." She goes, "It's easy." And I mean, this being, the college student, Jason, my thought was like, hey, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go hang out at the beach all day. People are
Yep.
going to call me because they're just going to magically call. And every now and then, I'm going to go unlock an oceanfront condo door. I'm going to sell one. She told me I made $6,000 every time I sold a unit. And things would be great. I'd do like one of those a month, maybe, right?
All
Maybe two.
right.
No,
Yep.
and
Yep.
my friends were graduating college, being lucky if this was 2002, they were lucky if they broke, $30,000 a year, and I was going to do that like in the summer, and then just hang out, right? And when I got down here, I realized that this lady did new construction condos, and it took 2 years to build them. And I learned that people didn't just call you, and it just didn't work that way at all. And there wasn't really a lot of hanging out on the beach. So what I did was I got introduced to the telephone, and I got introduced to scripts, and I started working really, really hard. And I had played rugby for Winthrop University up near Charlotte, North Carolina, where you're from.
Yep.
And I just had no fear at the time. So I got on the phone, I started calling. I wasn't scared of no. Sometimes I'd beg people just about beg people to let me list their house. I had no systems whatsoever. So I got lucky enough that I got introduced to a coach really fast, about 6 months in. Um, and I took off from there. The market started falling down in 2008, and we were in a free fall. And fortunately, um, I wasn't. My business was taking off. I was actually expanding. I started doing open a property management company, started building a team. Next thing I know, I'm between leases and sales. I'm doing like between my team and the leasing business, I was doing about 450 transactions a year.
Nice.
Won some awards and things, and then like I guess that typical real estate agent path. I was working 7 days a week, as close to 24 hours a day as I could. I'm pretty sure I had a stomach ulcer. I wasn't making the money that nobody thought I was making,
Yep.
and and I ended up getting divorced. And through all that, I said, you know what? I don't like this whole real estate thing. This thing isn't as fun as it was to begin with. I want to find something else to do. I disband my team, and I start looking around. I start looking around at other careers, other career options. And one thing I realized, Rob, was that there's not a whole lot of stuff we can do that's better than going out and selling real estate.
Yeah.
I mean, we have the opportunity to make professional athlete kind of money, but the difference between us and, like, say, a baseball player or a football player is where they're making a lot of money for like 4 or 5 years. We can make a lot of money for an unlimited amount of years. As
Yeah.
long as you can hobble up to the door and get your e-key out and unlock it, you can still sell real estate.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
And I realized that, and I said, you know what? It wasn't the business that I didn't like. It was the business I'd created for myself. So I looked hard at what did I really like, and I really liked going to primary residence people's houses, right?
Mhm.
And I liked helping them sell their house and move up to a bigger one or whatever it was. It turned out I didn't really care for selling oceanfront condos. I do it, but it wasn't the thing I really liked. I really liked going to people's houses, meeting with the husband and the wife, and chatting with them about what they were wanting to do and helping them sell a house. I really
Nice.
enjoyed that. So I said, you know what? That's what I'm going to do. And at first, when I got back into it, when I started back, I had a little bit of rust. I didn't have, there again, all my systems for doing that sort of business had basically deteriorated. And what I said was I need to really narrow things down, because like a lot of agents, I'd get on the phone and I would talk until they allowed me to come to their house. Then I would stay at their house thinking, I guess I thought I was going to wear them down, right? And and what I would do is I would leave their house after like a 2-hour appointment. I'd go, man, those people loved me. They invited me to dinner. But, we're in the South, and the reason they invited me to dinner wasn't because they liked me. It was because they were hungry. They didn't
Yes.
leave, right? So what I learned is that these people weren't having me to their house because they didn't have friends. I really wasn't there because I needed a friend. I was there because they want to sell their house. And the only reason they were truly letting me in the door was because they also wanted to sell their house. And once I learned that, all of a sudden my appointment time, I started timing myself on appointments. And once I learned that, once I got the appointment down to about 25, 30 minutes, that was like the sweet spot. It's kind of like a doctor, we might be friends with a doctor. We might know them, but we're not going to their office to hang out. We're going because we got a sore throat and we think they can fix it. And the only reason they're really there is because they fix sore throats, right?
Absolutely.
So that's my whole career in a nutshell. With that, and that's what I teach agents to do. I teach them to build a career. Teach them to build a business that they want, not the business that falls in their lap.
Yeah. So by design, as opposed to just hoping that something comes along.
Truly by design.
Let's get into that then. So let's talk about the listing piece of it, because we've talked about follow-up systems. We've talked about generating things like that. But how does an agent sell more real estate?
Well, I'll tell you what, let me do a screen share, and I'm going to share
All right.
some things I share with my group coaching with you guys today.
Perfect.
And the number one thing I see agents doing or not doing is a lot of agents out there, Rob, they're operating and they don't have a plan.
Yeah.
They have no plan at all. Got this slide from How to Be an Expired Master book. So you guys, the thing at the top where it says expired listing, just ignore that. I think that more offices should be teaching this. Okay, so that big bucket of balls at the top, that's your leads.
Yeah.
Right. And by having a plan, this right here, this is your expired plan. This is the plan I teach agents. So one of the things the easiest way to look at it is as a funnel, right? Most of the time we hear funnels, we're thinking about ClickFunnels and all this stuff, but truly your business is like a funnel. And it's like, you got to keep pouring leads into the top. Okay, now I explain these levels here. Now, when you're pouring leads in, whether you're subscribing to RedX, whether you're whatever it is, whether it's Boomtown, Market Leader, whatever it is, you got to keep having those first conversations, those first level conversations. And that's the conversation where we're calling you up and saying, hey, Rob Tucker, this is Jason Morris. Hey, do you, basically in a nutshell, do you really want to buy a house? Do you really want to sell their house? That's what we're looking for on those first calls. If you're going to buy it, how are you going to buy it? When are you going to buy it? Where do you want to buy? How are you going to pay for it? That's one of the most important things.
Yep.
But we're using our scripts and we're figuring out if it's a real lead or it's just an inquiry or it's just data. A lot of agents with expireds, a lot of agents don't realize that a lot of the leads that we get are really just data that's been collected, right? But we're looking to see who's real and who's not. Then our job is, even if we don't talk to them, but hey, we've got Rob Tucker here on our piece of paper and the voicemail saying Rob Tucker, we still need to follow up with them, right? We need to follow up with all of our correct numbers, and then we need to put them into a long-term follow-up plan, and we'll talk about that here in just a minute. because most of your business, you're going to weed out the people that don't want to do anything, today. And then you're going to go into a long-term follow-up plan, which is going to turn into listing appointments, which is going to turn into signed listing agreements. And if we consistently prospect, we're going to consistently have leads to follow up with. We're going to consistently go on appointments. We're going to consistently take listings, and we're going to consistently have closings. One thing I've learned through about 17 years of the real estate business is, me personally, if I take a listing, if I took 50 listings a year, the numbers just always seem to work out for me, where I ended up selling about one property for every listing I took.
Absolutely.
Right? Now, I might not have sold that particular house, but I got a buyer call that was really great on it, and I sold a buyer a house off of their sign, right?
Yep.
So it just seems to work out, has seemed to work out that way for me, that however many listings I took, it turned out I'd done about that many transactions. It's kind of funny. And but this is the way that your business should look. Now, one of the problems a lot of agents have is, well, they didn't have the plan, they didn't know what their business should look at, but then they don't have any consistency. So when we go back to this slide right here, it's just like an oil funnel, pouring oil into your car. Once you quit pouring those leads into the top, it's only a matter of time before stuff quits coming out the bottom.
That's right.
Just like oil in your car. When you quit pouring the oil in the top of your funnel, it's just a matter of time before it quits coming out the bottom. And a lot of agents don't realize that their business is like that. And I think that's a lot of the reasons why they have the up and down motion of it, because they get really busy working with 3 or 4 buyers. So they quit calling their Zillow leads. They quit calling the leads coming through Market Leader. They quit doing what they were doing. They get really busy with those 2 or 3 transactions because they believe they have to hold everybody's hand. They won't allow the lender to do their job, the home inspector to do the job. They have to babysit the whole process, and they hold everybody's hand. So they quit pouring leads into the top of their funnel, and then all of a sudden those 3 deals close, and they don't have a 4th, 5th, and 6th next month.
Yep.
Then it takes them 2 or 3 months to get ramped back up, because just like an oil pipeline, it takes a little while of pouring oil in before stuff starts coming out the bottom. It doesn't happen instantly.
Oh yeah, you see that real estate pipeline or that real estate roller coaster all the time.
Yep. And consistency is the second most important thing. You can do, here's the thing that a lot of agents don't realize. Most everything truly works, right?
Yeah.
I mean, whether it's Zillow or whether it's Market Leader, whether you're generating Facebook ads, most of it works. They're just not consistently doing it long enough for their funnel to fill up and stuff to start coming out of it.
Yep.
I mean, they're not consistent. So with that being said, you have to have certain tools. With building your plan, one thing I've taught agents to do for quite a while, and you get the free template, jasonmorrisprelistingpackage.com, is to have a pre-listing package.
Mm-hmm.
And I know with your history and the offices you've been involved in, a lot of big franchises give agents some sort of package.
Yep.
The biggest problem is they don't use it. I was in Dallas, Texas doing a talk. This was a while back, and there was about 100 agents in the room. And one of the big things I've talked about for years is your pre-listing package. And most of these people, I mean, they knew me. They were there to see me. And I said, hey, guys, how many people have a pre-listing package that you use? Raise your hand. Well, how many of them do you have one that have one, period? About 8 people raise their hand out of about 100.
Wow.
And I said, how many of you guys have one that you send to every single seller that you talk to about selling their house? And like 2 people had their hand up. And the thing is, I got this idea several years ago, Rob, that we don't really sell houses. We sell a service that sells houses, and we get paid on the performance of that service. And one thing that I made a mistake with years ago, and you probably remember this, is I'd show up at listing appointments, and I would sit there. I'd sit there and do that 2-hour appointment, and I'd talk about whatever they wanted to talk about. We'd talk about, Clemson and the LSU game, or we'd talk about how McGregor won the fight the other night, and we talk about all this stuff, and we never really talk about selling their house. And
Yeah.
whatever they wanted to hear me say that I do, I done it, right?
Yep.
You know, you want me to plant flowers in your garden? Yes, Jason will be there on Saturday. You know, I'd overpromise and constantly underdeliver.
Yeah.
And your pre-listing package helps you not do that. It helps you create a financially feasible listing plan. One thing a lot of agents don't realize is that just putting a house in MLS does a tremendous amount of stuff. A lot of stuff
Yeah.
happens automatically. And when you list all those things, it doesn't feel like a lot to us because we deal with it all the time. But when the general public sees it, man, we do a lot of stuff.
That's right.
And one thing I've seen a lot of agents doing right now, man, is they take and they create this plan. And my plan when I was a new agent was the Talking House. Right?
Yep.
Do you remember that?
I remember Talking House.
For you guys that are younger than me and Rob and hadn't been in business as long, the Talking House was basically a house on a stick, right? That went in their front yard and people could pull their car real close. I think they had to be within 50 feet or something like that. It was ridiculous.
That's about right.
And they could tune to an AM radio station and they could hear Jason Morris describe the inside of this house. Now those things costed about $250 a piece.
Yep.
What I did is young, just out of college, broke Jason, is I went to this real estate seminar. I heard about this Talking House, and I went and bought 4 of them, right? I bought 4 of them. I charged them on my credit card. And the thing about it was it wasn't very replicable for me. I only had 4 of them. So when I took 4 listings, what was I supposed to do if I got a 5th listing because I didn't have a 5th Talking House? And I truly didn't have the money to buy one because at that time, you know, sometimes I'd write a check for my light bill on Thursday knowing I didn't get paid for Friday and hoping the mail didn't get it there till Monday, right? So I truly didn't have any money, but I created a process and a listing process that just wasn't financially feasible. I had a young lady I was talking to not long ago that was in my group coaching, and she had a process that included staging. She got the house clean. She done all this stuff. She got drone footage, and as soon as the listing agreement was signed, it committed her to put out of her pocket about $1,100 per listing that she took. Now the problem is in a good market, it's not a big deal. You spend $1,100. Throw it on the market, you get multiple offers, right?
Yep, that's
Sells for $20,000 higher than what it was supposed to, and in 30 days you got a closing and you get your $1,100 back and you keep going. When the market slows down like 2008, 2009, or we hit a little speed bump, which we're gonna hit inevitably, all of a sudden you got 10 houses you took listings on and you spent $1,100 a house, you got $11,000 out. You're steady promising more $1,100 listings, right? Listing services.
That's right.
And all of a sudden you don't have the money to support your listing process and your listing plan. You know, your pre-listing package prevents you from doing that. You know, and the reason why you need one, I made a little list here real quick for you guys. Number one, most agents don't have one. So many times I've got listings over other agents where I've been talking to the seller and the seller said, well, we're going to interview multiple agents. Well, my response is, hey, that's fantastic. I think you should. And Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what I'd like for you to do is I'm going to send you my marketing plan. And I'd like for you to ask them for theirs too. That way you can lay them side by side and compare apples to apples, right? Then I'd follow up the next day or later on that day. But I wanted to follow up before my appointment because I wanted to say, hey, Miss Seller, hey, Jason Morris, I just want to give you a quick call. Did you have any questions about the plan I sent over? And hey, how did my plan compare to theirs? And of course, 99% of the time, they never sent one, or they typed up something real quick in an email, and they could say, oh, well, they didn't have one like you did. And my response would be, oh my gosh, well, I hope they're not just going to stick a sign out in the front yard, hope something happens. Right? So most people don't have one, and it sets you so far apart, right? But number two, it builds confidence. Put your plan in writing. You're not just selling them on a hope and a dream. You're actually giving them what you're doing. It's your brochure. It's a brochure for the service you're offering. I mean, that's really it. Number 5, I mean, it works, guys. There are people that I sent out pre-listing packages to 2, 3 years ago that are calling me back. They're calling me back, and they've kept that. It's still stuck in their email, or sometimes I'll mail it if they don't have a copy of it, or if they don't have an email. I work in a market where we do deal with a lot of people that are a little bit older. We forget too, man, that not everybody's as tech savvy as we are.
Right.
Most of the things that we're promising, like the talking house that I promised back then, nobody knew what that thing was. Hey guys, the general public don't know what Matterport is. I guarantee you.
Right. That's true.
In drone footage, as cool as it is to have a great drone video, I've never heard a seller say, "Hey Jason, I really liked 123 Main Street, but there's not any pictures of the roof. Can you can you go over and take some pictures of the roof for me?" Right? I've never heard that before.
That's right. That's right.
And I see agents, like, for a while there, our MLS was limited to 25 pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd pull up some of these listings, and 9 of the pictures would be pictures from drone footage, right? And it'd be like, man, they got every angle you could have of the roof and in the yard, but they don't have a picture of the master bathroom.
That's right.
It'd just be kind of ridiculous. It'd be kind of ridiculous. Now, but going back to our funnel, because that funnel diagram is really the basis for our business. One thing I see that agents don't do is they're not using scripts, Rob. And you've heard this, I'm sure. You've heard them go, "Well, I don't want to sound like a robot. I don't want to sound like I'm reading something off." But instead, what they do is they get on the phone, and I've heard these before, and I've role played with agents in my group coaching, and I've seen them do this. They go off script. And next thing you know, you started off talking about selling the house, and then next thing you know, you're talking about the weather, or you're talking about something that isn't really important. Like, if you want to have better conversations with sellers, guys, the thing to do is talk about what the seller wants to talk about. They don't want to talk about who's going to the Super Bowl next week. They want to talk about selling their house.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
And the way to ensure that you do that over and over again is to have a script, right? And one of the interesting things about it is, once you use that script over and over again, and you've asked that same question 100 times, 1,000 times, right? All of a sudden, you develop this ability to where it's like you're almost psychic. Like, you know what they're going to say, and you know how they're going to answer the question before they answer it.
Yeah, you do.
Sometimes I felt like when I was calling all the time really hard, I'm sticking to my scripts and doing all the things I should be doing, right? And sometimes when I teach when I talk about this stuff, Rob, I go, that's great. I should do that, because I'm guilty of it too, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes when I don't have my script there in front of me, I go off script. And
absolutely.
But sometimes it was like I could almost tell what they were going to say by their breathing pattern on the phone. By the way they said hello, I knew how the call was going to go.
Yep.
But it's the same. A lot of us have worked in the restaurant industry. It's the same as, at the end of your meal, the waiter or waitress comes over and they say, "Hey guys, how was everything? Can I get you dessert?" After they've been waiting tables for, a month, probably 2 months, right? They can probably look at the body language of somebody, the way they ate their meal, the way the man and woman interacted with each other, and tell if they're going to order a pie or not, right? Yep. It becomes that predictable. And then the objections become that predictable too. Like, "Oh gosh, probably half the time they get that stupid thing. Well, if I order dessert, I don't know what to do with it. Ha ha ha." You get the dumb joke and stuff that you laugh at, even though, it's painful because you've heard it 100 times.
Mm-hmm.
But, guys, if we stuck to a script, we role played, and we used the same script over and over again, and we took note of the objections we're getting. And then we went back and we practiced, say, the top 3 objections we're getting all the time, which are probably like, "Oh, I don't want to use an agent right now. I don't want to pay a real estate commission. I'll pay you 3% if you bring a buyer. Oh, we're not ready yet." If we just practiced a strategy to overcome those, those top 3 or 4 that we're getting in our market, our business would change dramatically.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
a script is gonna you're gonna know what to say. I mean, it's gonna keep you on track. It's gonna keep the conversation moving. And a lot of people don't realize this, but it's just professional.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, everybody's using a script and a
Yeah.
process, and it's really interesting when I see agents that are talking about they don't want to do one, and then I've invited them to role play because we do some regular role play in my group coaching, but I've invited them to role play. And a lot of agents, when they're using a script and they've been doing it over and over again, they start building some confidence.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing about building that confidence is that we buy based on confidence, I believe. We buy and we choose services based on confidence. If you were going to have a major surgery and you went to a doctor and the guy didn't have a plan for you, he didn't have his pre-listing package, right? And he just said, Rob, we think we can fix you. Think we can fix you. We're going to get in there and we're going to root around with a stick and, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out as we go.
That's right.
Then you went to the second doctor and the second doctor said, hey, Rob, look, here's my plan for you. We're going to do A, B, C, and D. It's going to take 30 minutes to do the surgery. This is how the recovery is going to go. The guy's confident. He says, yeah, we do this all the time. We're going to fix you. Which doctor are you going to go to?
Absolutely.
Attorneys are going to be the same way. Which one are you going to go to? If you have a serious legal problem, are you going to go with the guy that thinks he could do something for you or the guy that's really confident and does it all the time, right?
Yep.
Having a script and having these things are just professional. So, guys, the number 5 thing I want to tell you today, and this is the last part of the funnel before actually setting the appointment and going on the appointment. The last thing is really having a follow-up plan, right? And we've all seen this slide, and Rob, I stole this off the internet.
That's okay. Everything's on the internet.
I don't know who came up with this thing first. The guy I've heard
Yep.
talk about this the most is Grant Cardone.
Yep.
Took this slide, right? And he probably doesn't have a problem with me sharing it. It says this guy's website at the bottom.
That's right.
But these sales statistics, these are based on sales across the board. These aren't based on real estate agents.
Right.
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 So where a lot of these companies that provided data for this are your big sales companies. And one of the things that's really interesting is they have processes that their salespeople follow where we're creating our own. And we get offended when somebody else tries to tell us one to follow. And guys, there's a couple of things here I want to point out to you. Number one is 48% of salespeople never follow up with a prospect. That means that they get a voicemail and they never call back, or the person says, hey, Rob, I don't want to use a real estate agent. They go, oh, okay. And then that agent goes, oh, well, I've already called them and they don't want to use a real estate agent, or they don't want to pay a commission. I'm not going to work with them, right?
Yep.
So 48% never follow up. 25% of people, they make a second contact and stop. And there again, that's probably like, hey, they called that person twice and they called them at 11 o'clock during the day and they left 2 voicemails. They didn't get a call back. And how many times have you heard real estate agents say, oh, well, I called them and left a voicemail. I'm just going to wait for them to call me. All the time. Right. They never call back because inherently we don't call back. Right. And it's not because I don't like you, not because you're not a nice person. It's because, dude, we're always busy.
Yeah.
And God, if you have kids, I've got a 2-year-old, and man, when I get home, it's all about her in princess dresses.
That's right.
So sometimes people that call me, they leave me a voicemail. I really want to talk to that person. I really want to buy what they're selling. But by the time I have time to call them back, I can't remember what their phone number was. I've had 100 other calls that day. I can't remember their name, so I can't look it up. Or, by the time I have time and I have time to slow down to make the call, I forget.
Yeah.
Right? It's not your fault that the prospect hadn't called back. Actually, if we start developing the mindset of that it's our duty to call them, I have to call that for sale owner because I'm their best option. I
Yep.
don't want them to get stuck with a crappy real estate agent, right? I've got a plan. I don't want to get stuck with a guy that don't have a plan. We start building that mindset. It truly does make it easier. But if we go down to the bottom, the really most important statistic here is 80% of sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact.
Absolutely.
Right? That's the most important statistic here. And so if you don't have a sales process where you're following up at least 10 to 12 times, then are you really using that resource that you have, whether it's Zillow or RedX, whatever it is? Are you really using that resource to its fullest potential?
Nope. Not
I mean,
even
you're
close.
not. Chet Holmes wrote a book called The Ultimate Sales Machine.
Yep.
In his book, and this was the first eye-opening book for me on sales, he talked about having more impact, and he talked about following up with basically less people, right? Now, and that's how your funnel needs to be. Those people that you never get in touch with, those people that you have wrong numbers for, those people that, that are angry every time you talk to them, that they're just not going to fit with your personality or not going to fit with your program.
Yep.
Guys, they just don't go further in the funnel, right? That person gets deleted in your CRM. All right. You don't want to work with them. Hey, they're selling a commercial piece of property. You sell houses, right? Why are you going to get upset when that person doesn't want to work with you? They're not looking for the service you're offering, right? But as we go down the funnel, the people we're having meaningful conversations with, the people that are telling us their deep, dark secrets on why they want to sell their house, the people that they want to do something, they have a time frame they need to do it in, those people we need to keep following up with. And I'll give you an example of that. So this is one of the things that I've been teaching in my group coaching, and this is a process that I've followed for years. We get on the phone with them when we have that first good call, right? We have that first good call where Rob tells us about, hey, he needs to sell his house because, he's moving up, he's moving down, he's moving sideways, he likes the other side of town better than his side of town, whatever it is. Tells us some great stuff. We determine that Rob Tucker really wants to sell his house. Right, we have a good call. At the end of the call, basically Rob says, well, I'm not ready to list it right now. My response is, hey, no problem, Rob. I tell you what, I'd like to send you some information about me and my team and what we do to sell houses. What's your email? And if you guys use a script like that at the end of your call, even if they don't want to pay a real estate commission, don't want to pay whatever it is, get your pre-listing package in their hands and in their email, right? Then you have another reason to follow up with them. So I send that over to you as quick as I can because I don't want you to forget who Jason Morris is. If we wait till in the afternoon, if we wait till tomorrow, I'm not going to remember your name. I might not remember the conversation we had.
That's right.
But we send it immediately. Then we follow up with a text that just says, hey, Rob, we just hung up the phone, just sent you an email, wanted to make sure you got it. Most everybody has a smartphone, so they know within seconds if they got it or not. You say, great. Next day, you follow up. Hey, Rob, Jason Morris, I just want to give you a call. I sent you over some information about me and my team and what we do to sell houses. Just want to make sure you got it. I want to see if you had any questions, right? Now, you say, oh, no, I got it. Oh, I'm good right now. I don't have any questions, whether they looked at it or not. That's not important. You're making a touch, and you're making sure that Rob Tucker knows who Jason Morris is, right? So then you wait a day, you wait 2 days, you call Rob Tucker back. And a lot of agents at this point feel like, hey, they're bothering people. Guys, as long as you're following up with something of useful value, something they're interested in, and believe me, they're interested in the house down the street that's for sale. They're interested in the one that just sold. They're interested in research that you're doing, right? You call them back up and you go, hey, Rob, Jason Morris here. I just wanted to give you a quick call. I was doing some research for some buyers. Now, on this call, we go through scripts and stuff, and I know we don't have time to go through scripts and stuff today, so I'm just going to give you a real in a nutshell thing. But basically, we make a call. We say, hey, we've been doing some research for some buyers. I wanted to tell you something I found, and I like to have a unique selling proposition on the phone with them. If we put your house on the market today at the price you were looking for, this is what's going to happen. It's going to be the best price on the pond. It's going to be the best price corner unit. It's going to be the best price 4-bedroom in the St. James School District, whatever it is. Sometimes you got to get creative on what's unique about their house.
Yeah.
And guys, sometimes when we're doing this research and we can have a little bit of leeway, and sometimes, something like, hey, they're on the pond. Hey, they're going to be the only house in the neighborhood that backs up to the woods. All the rest of them back up to other people's backyards, right? Sometimes we may not look at that as a big selling feature, but guys, it is. I'll tell you another one that's big is that the housing boom was like 2004 to 2006, 2007 in most places.
Yep.
Well, those houses are 15 years old now. And if you live in a coastal area like us, the salt in the air has a big, it's rough on shingled roofs, it's rough on HVACs. So if you got a house that's 15 years old and they've put a new roof on it, they got a new HVAC versus the rest of the houses in the community, then that's a big selling feature. And two, a lot of those houses built in 2005 to 2006, man, D.R. Horton, Syntex, as big builders were putting them up as quick as they can. And hey, you're lucky you have carpet, right? They put the same carpet, the same linoleum, the same everything in all of them. So if you've got a seller, which a lot of those sellers have went through and they made great improvements, granite countertops, hardwood floors, stuff like that. If you've got a seller that's done those things, those are going to be big selling features over other people in the community.
Yep, sure are.
And back then, there wasn't a lot of 4 bedrooms built in my market. They built the cheapest, smallest floor plan. So if they have a 4 bedroom, if they have the room over the garage, that's a big selling feature, right? So we look for that unique thing versus the active listings on the market, right? What a buyer would be looking at today, because a buyer can't buy the house that was on the market 6 months ago. That one doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But if they're looking today and they're serious about buying, all they have to choose from is right there. It's just like if you go in Walmart, right? You want bed sheets or pillows or whatever, and you don't want to go to another store. All you got is what Walmart's got. So we call them about some unique research we've done, right? I'd like to end that call with, hey, Rob, I'll tell you what, how about if I email it over to you? Hey, you're going to be the best price on the pond. How about if I email you the information we found? And, guys, I try to close them on an appointment. If they tell me no, it's cool. I'm just going to email it over to them, because then that's going to give me another reason to follow up tomorrow. And I can follow up and go, hey, Rob, this is Jason Morris. Hey, I emailed you that stuff over tomorrow. I just wanted to see what you thought about it, right?
Perfect.
So if you follow this process, you've already made 7 contacts with them. Right? None of it was pushy. None of it was crazy. None of it was anything. Guys, I mean, that puts us in that 80% zone right there. It puts us in the 80% zone. They know who Jason Morris is. They've got some information from us. They've got some useful information for us. Now we just keep following up, right? And there's so many things to follow up on.
Okay.
Something just listed, just sold, just pending, right? There's hey, a property disclosure. You could do a net sheet and send it to them. Hey, I was working on some things. I thought I'd work up a net sheet for you, just show you what you'd walk away with closing. If you hired us, how about if we send it over to you? Always have 3 columns in your net sheet too, because you wouldn't believe how many times I went to people's houses and I got there and it was truly better than what it was. I'll tell you this. I listed one about 2 weeks ago that was I get there to the house, and I mean, I'd looked up all the comparables. Last one sold for $179, and I had 3 columns. I had 169, 179, and 189. I get there to their house. Turned out that the other homes in the community flooded the last 2 hurricanes we had. Turned out that their house was in amazing shape. It was truly a second home. Turned out that, just everything was way better than what we talked about on the phone. And we ended up, I was thinking, around 175, 180 when we talked on the phone. When I got there and seen the house, we actually ended up putting it on the market for 189, even though the last one sold for 179.
Yep.
But, there's not a lot of inventory. And guys, we've got an offer, and it's only been like 10 days that it's actually been on the market, right? And I'll tell you this, we priced it against what was available, not what sold 6 months ago, because that's already gone.
Yeah.
But with that follow-up plan, that puts you in the game. I mean, that puts you way ahead of your competition. So it's really really we've got to do things like that so that we, number one, we stand out. We're utilizing our resources the best way possible, and we've just got to do it.
Perfect.
So I know that was a lot.
Yeah, what's nice is I always say that real estate is a very simple business, but it's not easy. And you've got so many people out here, just like the pre-listing package is a perfect example. 8 out of 10 or 8 out of 100 may have one. 2 to 3 may actually use it and send it to everybody, but everybody has access to one, but they don't use it, which comes down to the whole principle of real estate anyway. Are you willing to do what it takes to be successful? And you've laid out a step-by-step process to be successful.
It's really a simple plan.
Yeah.
And even the pre-listing package is simple. I have agents that join my group coaching and they go, well, Jason, what if I done this in a video? I said, what if you don't?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
what if you just emailed it over in a PDF? And
I'll put this back on us now.
And then, yeah, sure, man. So, it's a lot of us will try to recreate the wheel.
Yeah.
And we do it in a way where, hey, man, we're sending them a video text. And honestly, like I look at my demographic of sellers, we're selling people's houses that honestly are a lot of them are my grandma's age.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
My grandma has a flip phone.
Yes.
Right? Not only does she have a flip phone, she has the one with the big numbers on it. So like if you send her a video text, she don't know what to do with it. Right? I'll tell you, she did get a smartphone not long ago, and she got on Facebook.
Okay.
Right? She got on Facebook. She want to see the pictures of my daughter and stuff. This is her first great-grandchild and stuff. And the other day she sends me a picture through Facebook. And I'm like, wait a second. My grandma's messaging me pictures through Facebook. And she was watching TV. She'd clicked on, I guess, my name or something. And she sent me like 30 pictures of her feet. I mean, so.
Oh, that's awesome.
A lot of us are working, especially in second home markets. We're not working with people that are technologically savvy.
Right.
Right. And if you send them a PDF, every laptop, whether it's a Apple or PC or whatever it is, everything's got something they can open a PDF on it.
Yeah.
If you send it in Microsoft Word, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Because who truly pays for Microsoft Word nowadays?
No, not many. Too many other options.
Yep. If we keep it simple and we keep our whole process simple, it just makes we're more likely to do it. That's number one. Yeah. I mean, if we make it real complicated, like had an agent that just joined my group coaching about a month ago, and I'm going to tell you the quick story. So he joined. He was a marketing guy. He was a tech guy, and he told me, he goes, "Hey, Jason, what if I subscribe to the expired service, and I get their email addresses, and I send them an email. I call them. I send them an email. I do Facebook ads around their thing." And he had this whole plan drawn up he was going to do, but there's like 12 steps in that plan. And I said, dude, all that sounds great. It sounds like an amazing idea, but you're not going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And once you get a little bit busy, that 12-step initial process is going to break down.
That's right.
And you're going to be lucky if you do steps one and 2, let alone all this other stuff, right?
Very true. Very true. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Keep it so that you'll do it. So outstanding. Exactly. Nice, man. I like it.
Cool, man. Cool.
Good job. Thank you for spending an hour with us this morning. Truly appreciate it.
Yeah, I hope there's some things in there that I know that was a lot I went through really quick.
Awesome.
I hope there's some gems in there that, some agents listening to this can reach in and pull out and add to their business to improve it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Jason Morse, how does somebody get in touch with you? What's the best way for them to contact you?
Man, Facebook's really easy for me. You can go to jasonmorrisgroupcoaching.com, and that's a really easy place to find me and find more information about the coaching that I do. But Facebook, Real Estate Agents That Really Work, that's my Facebook group. I'm super easy to find in there. I'm always posted and stuff.
Yep. That's right. Perfect. And you guys can hear about his homeowner association debacle too.
Oh yeah, that was exciting.
Which is a really good lessons in that thing as well. So yeah.
Oh, I agree.
Absolutely. Well, Jason Morris, thank you very much for your time. We are grateful, and you make it an awesome day, sir.
Hey, you too, man. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, buddy.